traders, but that don't mean I can't be excited, right? Okay, bet. So we good now. But let me go ahead and turn my camera on in the server if they ain't gonna let me use it on the recording. Bow. You feel me? I like this. This camera look good. This camera look good. I'm gonna have to get a new laptop because my laptop is not strong enough clearly for me to freaking, it's not strong enough for me to record and use video on the recording and be on Discord at the same time. It's kind of lame. This MacBook Air is supposed to be, it's supposed to be popping, but the MacBook Air ain't really, it's not really doing what it did. You feel me? But how's y'all's trading month been so far? How's your past week of trading been since our last weekly outlook? Did you guys learn something? Did you see profits? Did you break even? Did you have better habits? You feel me? Just kind of like let me know. Let's get some of that guild vibe going. You feel me? Hashtag guild vibes. Let's get some of them guild vibes going. Y'all let me know how it's been. Do you need to, has it not been in your schedule as much? What's kind of working with you guys? For myself, I had a pretty much, I was in profit about 0.5% on my account last week, so it was about a break even week for me. But once I pull up the charts, all that gonna make sense. You feel me? Good gains, learn some new things, getting back in the flow. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. They are, but they also are doing 50% off the $10,000 accounts though. You feel me? I dropped that in the announcements. I don't know if y'all saw that, but they doing 50% off on the 10K accounts, and the 10K accounts are like $130. So that's $65 for a 10K account, man. And I was just talking to somebody yesterday. On a standard challenge, that means your max drawdown is about $1,200, $1,200. So you paying $65 for basically $1,200 in drawdown. So the equivalent of funding $1,000 account, and not having to over leverage to make the profit. So I think that, I'm even me, like, I'm not the big fan of the smaller accounts, but even myself, I'm not gonna say no to $1,000. You feel me? So I'm gonna go ahead and probably cop about 3 of them. I think I'm gonna do a giveaway as well. I don't know what y'all think about that. You tell me. You feel me? Community wise, y'all tell me what y'all think about that. I'm thinking I might do a giveaway inside the community this week. For anybody who's actually a part of the squad, we'll do a giveaway. The promotion I think is until May 30th, right? I think it's until May 30th. So I think that's that's something we'll tap into. Good gains, learn some new things, love it. Took a few L's. I'm gonna make that up this week. Yeah, love it. Good lessons this past week. Didn't recognize I was still being emotional. Man, it's crazy how these emotions work. Not having emotions be emotional sometimes. It's the crazy thing about it. But man, I'm definitely excited to go ahead and prepare for this week. We had NFP last week, as well as the interest rate announcements. It seems like, first week of the month, not only are we getting NFP, if you're not aware, every single Friday we get the unemployment rates and the payroll. How many new employees or not new employees we have in the economy. That's every first week of the month, every first Friday. But it also seems as though we're on timing. I mean, since February, actually. Yeah, since February, we've had interest rates first week of the month. And I'm pretty sure once we go ahead and check, we got inflation coming out this week. So definitely would say y'all take some notes as we're going through everything today. Don't just, take my word for what I'm saying, or, don't just listen and have an ear for what I'm doing. Like, really be present, take some notes and really use it for yourself, as we go into this week. Was good, Chrissy. As we go into this week, man, y'all go ahead and use these things that we're looking at, right? But let me go ahead and let's go ahead and pull up some things, right? First things first, where y'all think we going first, right? Where y'all think we going first? What's the first thing we always gonna hit on a Sunday, man? Chrissy in the building. She said DXY. Okay, yeah, BT beat you to it. Need is a try. Yeah. We gonna hit the news first, but DXY gonna be close after. And I actually want to go ahead and I actually want to show you guys something that I've learned. I learned about this in March. Kind of back tested it last month because I like to learn from people. You know, even ICT himself, right? I like to learn from people, but I like to apply myself first, and then I'll teach. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go ahead and get into a couple things. Got a couple topics that I want to hit on, and we're definitely gonna hit on the charts. And I also have some things to say as far as crypto goes. You feel me? Definitely gonna start to go ahead and give my insights on crypto again, because that's definitely something we want to be paying attention to as we're going into the halvening next year. Which is going to be in 2024 is when the halvening is going to be on Bitcoin. And as y'all can see, everybody's getting excited when it comes to the crypto markets. Everyone's getting excited when it comes to the stock markets. I've been seeing all the Instagram gurus talking about how, you know, Apple is up and earnings are up. Apple just dropped. I don't know if y'all heard about it. Apple just released their savings account. Anybody did that yet? I haven't. I don't even know how to do it. I'm gonna have to look into that. But Apple just released a savings account. Apple now has their own savings account partnered with Goldman Sachs, and they're promising a guaranteed 4.5% annual percentage return on anything you have in there, right? So that means if you have $1,000 in there, you're guaranteed to get $40 growth every year. If you have $10,000 in there, you're guaranteed to get $450 growth every year. If you have $100,000 in there, you're guaranteed to get $4,500 every year. $1,000,000 in there, you're guaranteed $45,000 every single year. You feel me? So I mean, that's something powerful, and they released it about 2 weeks ago, I believe. So nobody has the Apple joint. All right, see? So we gonna have to figure out what they got going on. But check this out. Over the last 2 weeks since they've released it, they've earned over $1 billion has been invested in 2 weeks into these savings account, man. Like that's a way to make $1 billion in 2 weeks, right? Way to make $1 billion in 2 weeks. But we're gonna be looking into that and tapping into some things right now. Go ahead and share my screen. Like I said, first thing we are going to be getting into is definitely going to be the news, right? It's definitely the first thing we're going to be looking at. Can everybody see my screen? You know, I know, again, first time using the screen share in the auditorium, so hopefully we are all good to go. Okay, I like this auditorium vibe. Now, you know, I've been doing a little diving in on investing.com. Of course, y'all know I'm going to use the economic calendar, and that's what we're going to tap into, see what's coming up for this week. But before even looking at the economic calendar, I was taking a look at some of the headlines, right? Because I like to get an idea for what the people are saying, because I always observe the masses and do the opposite, right? So not only that, but just kind of getting a better understanding for just the economics and how different things affect other things, you know? So for example, you know, they're talking about the oil prices and how the Chinese economy affects oil prices. If you're somebody who trades oil, for example, China's economy is going to affect that majorly because they're the number one importer of oil, right? So if their economy is not doing well, chances are that's going to affect the oil market in a negative way. If their economy is on the rise, then that would actually affect oil prices in a good way, right? So I don't pay too much attention to oil news, but you feel me? If you're somebody who does trade oil, then that's something that you'll be aware of. But just looking at some of these headlines, you know, seeing them talk about how gold was muted after non-farm payroll hits, just different things like this. I just like to pay attention to the things they're getting excited about, right? So I was tapping into that. Even looking at the Wall Street Journal and the different things that they were talking about, like, is the Fed done raising rates? Like, no way they're done raising rates, because you guys are talking about it. But I'm gonna go ahead and get into that in a second, right? And if you guys don't know, we actually do have a inside of the forum, we have a what are these things called? A thread where I talk about how inflation affects interest rates, right? So kind of get familiar with that after today's call if you're not already familiar with that, right? But listen to what we're going to talk about first, okay? So this week coming up, We have a bank holiday dropping tomorrow, Monday, for GBP, right? So, the pound is going to be having a holiday all of tomorrow. So, unless it's something clear cut or, major news on another pair, like if you're trading GU and you see news, but there's no news, right? I mean, unless I go ahead and change to looking at medium impact as well as high impact. Let's see if we got anything for the US dollar tomorrow. All right, US dollar tomorrow, Monday. Yep, not really. Yeah, not really. We got JPY. We got some medium impact on JPY tomorrow, but that's not even really tomorrow. That's 7:30 p.m., which is really going into Tuesday at that point, right? But yeah, so we got GBP holiday tomorrow, and then we got short-term energy outlook for the dollar on Tuesday. Typically, that really heavily more so impacts the indices, I've noticed, especially NASDAQ, because NASDAQ, NAS or NAS 100, whatever, however you want to say it. NAS is the tech companies, right? Tech companies are heavily impacted by what's going on in the energy sector, right? So would look for some type of, move when it comes to that, possibly even seeing the market stagnate on Tuesday until after that news release happens. That's something we could be used to. Now, we also have inflation updates coming in on Wednesday for the US dollar, on the month to month and the year on the year. And that's what we're going to talk about to start off this session today. On Thursday, we got interest rate decision for GBP, 7 a.m. in the morning. That's going to be sweet. 8:30 news on US dollar, pound news 9:15 on Thursday. So we got pound news 7 p.m. and 9:15 on Thursday. So Thursday should be a good day for the pound. I mean, looks like it's going to be a good week for pound regardless. Can anybody, if anybody was on here last week, or if you watched the recording, if you're not aware, I dropped the recordings for Market Outlook on the YouTube channel. Do you guys remember what it was that I was talking about when it came to 10 a.m. news releases, right? Let me know in the chat if you remember, or I think we could raise our hand in this piece. That's cool. But if you remember what it was that I was talking about, or if you have your own awareness of what happens with 10 a.m. news, go ahead and let me know. If you don't remember or you don't know, just tell me in the chat, and we'll keep it pushing, right? But let me get some type of engagement, and y'all let me know what's going on with that, right? I'll come back to that as y'all answer. But yeah, so we got Friday GBP, but the only real US dollar news this week is Wednesday and Thursday. It's the only real US dollar news that we got popping off. So should be a pretty smooth week. Just don't go, throwing yourself and sacrificing yourself on CPI. You feel me? Don't go sacrificing yourself on CPI. All right, let me see what y'all talking about. Bianca said, tell me. All right, cool. I got you, B. I guess nobody else want to know. So check it out. When it comes to the 10 a.m. news, what I was saying last week is that whenever we have news later on in the morning, I've just noticed that the market tends to revisit the same opportunities that it presented itself earlier on in the session. It'll revisit that same area around 10 a.m. And I'll show some examples of that when we hop on the charts. Now, the whole point that I want to get to when it comes to this inflation rate is that last week we saw them raise interest rates again, right? And if you've been paying attention to what's going on with the interest rates, that should not be a surprise. I don't know why these news outlets keep talking about them not raising the interest rates, because they have literally said every single week that every single month that they plan to continue to raise these interest rates. All right, so we had another 0.25% raise. I don't remember how is that 25 basis points? I think it's 25 basis points is what this is considered, right? So we had another, the interest rates raised again by another 25%, 25 basis points. And the way that affects the economy is that if interest rates are increasing, that means that the cost of borrowing is increasing. So it should be technically harder for people to have money and make money and therefore spend money. The reason that they're raising these, interest rates is because they would like to see the inflation rate decrease, right? I mean, if we go ahead and pull up the year over year interest rate, or even the month over month first, and then we'll look at the year over year, and we look at the previous releases, you can see that over the course of the pandemic and everything that was going on, we saw inflation at highs of almost 1.3% last summer. There was a point where I think that was the highest that we saw it, right? It was at 1.3% on a month to month last summer, right? July, August. And so that's the reason that they're going to continue to raise these interest rates, is because they want to see that inflation come down, because inflation is not good for the economy. Inflation means that there's just people are spending money left and right, and when people are spending money left and right, that means that unfortunately, it's too accessible, basically, right? It inflates the dollar. It makes the dollar less valuable. And that is not good for the economy at all. So they're raising these interest rates because they would like people to have less money, essentially. Now, they're raising these interest rates, and what you'll notice is that a lot of these companies, we're seeing them having a lot of layoffs, right? Amazon laying off tens of thousands of workers. A lot of these tech companies laying off tens and thousands of workers, and a lot of people attribute that to the interest rates going up. And but a major part of that is a lot of developments in AI and things like that. Now, the crazy thing is that we're getting, I guess you could say, kind of a divergence when it comes to inflation, right? And for me, y'all know I want to see a bullish dollar, right? Y'all know I want to see a bullish dollar. But yeah, here we go, right? Year over year interest rates. You can see that over the past, since COVID, right? Since COVID, which began, I guess you would say, in 2019, but really in that 2020 range, interest rates on a year-to-year basis jumped from being 1% in August of 2020 all the way to getting up to 8% 9% on an annual basis. As of last summer. And so they're continuing to raise the interest rates because, look, inflation is slowly going down. And that's, what they would like to see. They'd like to see the inflation continue to go down. But last week, we got the unemployment numbers. And the unemployment numbers for last week showed us that we actually have we have the lowest unemployment that we've had since 1969, right? Since 1969. So something's not adding up. We got job layoffs happening by the tens of thousands, right? Tens of thousands of people losing jobs. But then we have these unemployment numbers coming in, and we're at the lowest unemployment rate. That means the most people in the country have jobs since 1969. Since 1969, the most people in the country have the jobs. And if people have jobs, people have what? If people have jobs, that means that people have money. And if people have money, people are gonna spend money. So it's things are not adding up, right? We got inflation supposedly going down, which would mean that spending is going down, but we have more people with jobs, which means that more people would be spending money. So somebody got to be lying, right? And that's what I call divergence on the chart. So I expect reversals in the market. That's basically what I'm saying on a higher time frame, right? Now, of course, that's more so, especially like when it comes to investing. So like when we talking about crypto, when we talking about stocks, a lot of people are excited. A lot of people are excited, buying Apple stock, buying Tesla stock, buying a lot of just different types of stock, buying crypto. We see Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's at like what, 28, right? Almost 30K right now. And people are like, yeah, let's buy. And I'm just letting y'all know, man, based on these numbers, something's fishy. You feel me? Something's fishy, and that aligns with my technical analysis. So as far as I'm concerned, right, even if these numbers on inflation, right, the whole world is interested in seeing what these inflation numbers actually come out at. We have a 5% from the last month. We were at 5%, and people would like to see whether this number is going to be lower, right? It's forecasted at coming out at about the same, but people would like to see this number be lower because they want them to continue to lower the interest rates. But I don't care about what happens with inflation this week. All I can say is that if these numbers come out compared to these previous numbers, if they come out higher, then I will expect the dollar to give a push lower, and if they come out lower, then I would expect the dollar to give a push higher, like very simply as far as that goes. But long term, I'm just saying, given we're at the lowest unemployment that we've been at since 1969, these folks are going to continue to raise that interest rate. And as long as they continue to raise that interest rate, just understand that even if the dollar is stagnating and it's hanging out at the lows right now, and we're getting the dollar continuing to drop, just know that thing is going to pop. All right, it's gonna pop. It's not. It's not. We're not just gonna continue to fall out of the sky when it comes to the dollar, because that's just not the way that this party works. Okay, so same thing as last week. We don't have to spend OD time, right? You can definitely go watch the recording from last week when we were speaking about the dollar, but you can kind of see from last week when we were looking at this, that our targets on this dollar pullback, this drop that's happening on the dollar, would love to see her drop down into this 98, right? 98 level. I don't know if that's like $98 or 98 points. I don't know what you would call it, but 98, right? We looking to see her drop down into this 98 level. So continue to see her drop a little bit further. Let these guys continue to get excited, especially if you've been studying, and you can see we had them drop below this engulfing candle, right? This big old engulfing candle, which would be considered our order block, right? And then last month, or the last week, better yet, okay, because this candle, we're on the monthly time frame right now, right? We're on the monthly time frame. So that means that this candle right here is May's candle, and May has only been open for 7 days now. So if this is the top of that candle, that's where we opened May. This is where May is at right now. This was the low of May, and this was the high of May, right? And May has only been 7 days. So that means last week, May opened up right here at 101.3. We dropped all the way down to this level here at 100. And at some point, we traded as high as this wick right here. And where did that wick trade into? Well, that wick traded right into our order block, okay? And when we see things like that, those are essentially signs, I guess you would say, of expansion. That's what I would like to see in an expansion. Like if I was trading the dollar on the monthly, then I would look to enter sells on them coming back up into that range just like that, especially when we have an imbalance like this. So given that already happened, I'm definitely looking to see on a lower time frame, looking to see the dollar go ahead and continue to target, as you can see I have here on these, on the where these black lines are, got the daily sell side liquidity. And at the end of the day, liquidity is where money is at. So that's where the markets are going to want to trade to. Okay, they want to trade to liquidity. Okay, because they cannot make moves. If I want to tie this all together. I want y'all to understand that if I'm saying like, yo, we want to see the dollar be bullish because they're raising interest rates. I mean, it only would make sense that the interest rates are going higher and higher. Inflation is going lower and lower. So the dollar itself should be trading higher and higher. It should have a higher and higher value because it costs more to have the dollar. You feel me? So at the end of the day, if we want to see a bullish dollar, they need money to move money, and money is where the liquidity is at, right? So that's why I have identified these areas of liquidity, aka these areas of money. So kind of targeting those areas, right? So I wouldn't be surprised to see an increase in inflation this week, or higher inflation numbers. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, just so that we can get that little oomph on the dollar, right? A little push down on the dollar to go ahead and grab these liquidities and kind of give people a little bit of a fake out. Because in people's mind, if inflation is increasing, right, if inflation is going down, then they should ease up on raising the interest rate. So it don't matter what happened this week with their inflation. These folks is going to expect the damn dollar to go lower. That's what the world wants, because they want to go ahead and continue to buy their stocks and buy their cryptos. And at the end of the day, that only makes sense if the dollar is continuing to fall, right? So, I mean, just looking at the daily time frame, you can see that we've been consolidating for a good amount of time. Just from April, we've kind of been in the same area since about April 13th. I mean, even going back to April 4th, right? We're not that far off from where we were in April, the beginning of April. There's a lot of back and forth. We haven't had any real expansionary movements in a minute. But last week, we went ahead and saw them trade. Was that last week? Yep. Monday and Tuesday of last week, we went ahead and saw them trade above liquidity here, which would be these highs here from April 17th. Let me use my arrow to help you guys. Right, from April 17th, right? April 17th and April 19th, right? We had highs right here. So people had stop losses up here chilling in this zone. And we saw dollar go ahead and scoop, take that thing, right? That's the way liquidity works. In order for them to move to somewhere, they need that liquidity, and then they can go ahead and move to the next area. So went ahead and saw them take that and then go ahead and trade lower, give us a lower low here. We saw them spike back up here, NFP on Friday when those unemployment numbers came out, lower than they've been since 1969, and we saw the market pop up, come grab back up into this order block, for lack of a better term, to not overwhelm anyone, but went ahead and saw them trade right back up into that and then trade away from it. Ended up closing all the way down below that entire move by the end of Friday. So opening up today, I want to see them continue to trade lower. That's kind of my bias on dollar, at least going into this week for right now. It looks like they've set up what they need to do so that they can go ahead and start hunting some of that sell side liquidity. So that's kind of what I see on the dollar. Like I said, for some more context, I would definitely watch the market outlook from last week, because I went really a lot more in depth with the higher time frames. You feel me? Now, if you don't mind, y'all go ahead and tell me in the chat, like, what's some pairs that you guys trade, what's some things that you guys are looking at this week. I know Lord Beckford, I know he's privy to the US 30, right? That's his favorite thing to trade. That's what he's always looking at. So I already know he's gonna say US 30. You guys let me know what are some other assets that you guys are looking at, right? Before we get into the currencies though, like I said, I want to see the dollar trade a bit lower before going ahead and seeing her trade higher for what we looking for. And on Bitcoin, so Bitcoin has been on this uptrend, this tier higher and higher. We've got higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows on Bitcoin all year, basically. You feel me? So far since January, we've had higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. And definitely want to see us come into, I kind of pointed this out, I believe it was last week or it was the week before, and I pointed out this fair value gap that we have here, aka imbalance, right? We have this imbalance up here on Bitcoin that still has not been returned to. Would love to allow them to go ahead and trade up into there before we go ahead and see her trade lower, right? So it does make sense. Same thing on the stock market, indices and things of that nature. Again, pointed this out last week and last week was absolutely wow. Like they definitely like the wick, like look at the wick. It's just ridiculous. This last week on NASDAQ was just ridiculous. USD CAD, gold, SPX. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, bro. Thank you. So at the end of the day, NASDAQ this week, the week literally opened and closed in the same exact place, but that doesn't mean nothing happened. As you can see, again, we had this order block here, which was the down candle before we had this engulfing. And guess what they did? They traded right into that thing and then sharp move up out of it. And we still have, our buy side liquidity up here. That's what I think the target is. As you can see my black line here, right? I think their target is to go ahead and attack that buy side liquidity before we see them, start to trade lower. Because that's what would happen if the dollar is going to go ahead and take off. All these higher and higher interest rates, unemployment at all-time lows. Guys, the writing is literally on the wall. These things are going to crash, man. Like this stuff is not about to just keep buying up. The economy is not about to just keep spending money. You feel me? People are not about to just keep spending money. They're I guess you would say they're, what's the word? they are enticing people back into the markets. And so of course, if you've been dollar cost averaging, great, you feel me, you've been taking, getting some buys. But I've been saying this for about a week. I've been saying this for about 2 weeks now, man. If you've been buying stocks, if you've been buying crypto, highly advise that well, I don't advise, I guess none of it's advice, but me personally, I'm taking profits on certain things, keeping, taking not full profits, but partial profits on certain things. But don't be one of those people that enjoy the ride up and then get smacked, before they go ahead and come back down. So we'll get into some specifics, but I want to get all this higher time frame stuff up out of the way. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking as far as crypto goes, dollar goes, indice goes, or specifically Bitcoin goes, dollar goes, indices, like those major markets like Apple. Apple, like look at this. Apple literally just on a tier higher, just straight imbalance, higher and higher. And guess what? They on their way to buy side liquidity, right? Taking these all-time highs from last, not all-time highs, but taking these highs from July. Are those all-time highs on Apple? Yeah, we taking all-time highs right now on Apple, seeing them going ahead and trading towards the buy side liquidity on the monthly time frame. So yeah, guys, but guess what? I've had this mapped out here for a minute. I'm telling you right now, man, I cannot wait to have $1 million, my $1 million year. You feel me? Because, that's what we need. $1 million year, couple $1 million year, when Apple is back down at this $85 range. And they got all these people, man. I'm telling you, all these Instagram gurus, they got people buying Apple, holding Apple to the end of them. And guess what? They putting savings in there and into that thing. Now, like, bro, on everything, Apple gotta come back to this $85 range, man. I'm just saying, that's where I want to get in. That's where I want to get in. I'm in no rush, right? I'm in no rush. I want to get Apple at this $85 range. Y'all could save this weekly outlook and call me crazy if you want to. I don't care, right? Same thing on Tesla, right? Same thing on Tesla. I want to get in on Tesla when they come sweep sell side liquidity down here, down under this $90 range into this $85 range. Highly suggest you write those numbers down, because if I'm wrong, then okay, cool, I'm wrong. But if I'm right, if I am right, we shall be a very wealthy family. And that's all I have to say on that note, right? So yeah, that's my numbers on the stocks. As far as Apple and Tesla, those are the two stocks that I really pay the most attention to, is Apple and Tesla, just to be real. Now, the last thing I want to point out before we take it back to our major domain, which is our lovely currency pairs and indices and things of that nature, is Sandbox, right? Sandbox. Y'all familiar with Sandbox? Anybody familiar with Sandbox? Where y'all at, man? Y'all being boring today. Y'all being boring. All right. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Sandbox, right? But Sandbox is pretty much the coin behind the, they brought that up in the middle of last year. Yeah, like Sandbox is it's a metaverse. You feel me? It's a metaverse. It's really really one of the major metaverses type of thing. You feel me? Atari is building in Sandbox. You got a lot of these big, gaming companies are building in Sandbox. Okay. So here's the thing. I don't know if you guys remember 2020, 2021, when cryptos was on a tier, right? Bitcoin saw all-time highs, Ethereum saw all-time highs, and then they started to stall out and they started to reverse a little bit. And then there was the NFT craze. And then when the NFTs started to reverse and stall out a little bit, then we went into the what, right? It was crypto, then it was NFTs, and then it was metaverse, right? So right now, right, we're seeing Bitcoin coming up. We're seeing a push up on Bitcoin, right? We got Bitcoin coming up from all the way since January. Bitcoin went from 17K to 28K. And since January, Sandbox has dropped from 79 cents a coin down to 50 cents a coin. Isn't that interesting? Right? So I'm just pointing out that I dropped this, right? I dropped a chart. Y'all, I hope y'all really paying attention in this forum, man, because I dropped a chart in the forum back last month. Let me see if I could find it. about Sandbox, right? Sandbox. Can I find it? Sandbox. Let's see. Yeah, I don't remember where in March that I had dropped it, but if you find it, you let me know, right? Oh, is it here? Yep, right here, right? So I had dropped this chart on Sandbox when it was up at 58 cents. And I had said that I wanted to see them come into this discount range. And you see where my eye is, right? Down here, right inside our imbalance, right inside our fair value gap. And I want to see them kind of drop down there, take liquidity before we're in position to go ahead and trade higher. So I'm starting to dollar cost average into Sandbox because, as you'll see, by looking at the Sandbox chart, we've dropped down to 52 cents now, right? We've dropped down to 52 cents from where I called it up here at that 58, and we have dropped into that discount, like even below that discount level, almost taking the sell side liquidity. That haven't traded all the way to it yet, but I want to start to go ahead and buy into these positions on Sandbox, because as Bitcoin goes ahead and takes these highs and comes into here and we start to see her pull back, people are going to be running their mouth about the metaverse. I bet you haven't heard nobody talking about the metaverse like that, have you? Trust me, I know how the crypto world and the crypto gurus go. They ain't been talking about it, but guess what? They finna be talking about it. Just say Math told you, right? In about 2-3 months, when crypto goes ahead and goes for another drop, Bitcoin starts to go for another drop, you're gonna see them start to go ahead and start talking about Sandbox again. And guess what else they're starting to talk about right now? Remember I said we had Bitcoin see all-time highs in 2021, and then it started to fall off, and they started to do what? They started to try and sell everybody on NFTs, right? And then after the NFTs calmed down and everybody started getting scammed by the NFTs, then you started seeing them talk about the metaverse, right? Well, now I'm gonna go on CoinGecko, right? And we'll see that the DeFi ecosystem has grown by 65%, right? 65% during this entire range. And guess what also has been growing, right? Over the past 3 months. In the first quarter, we've seen NFT trading volume resurge by $4.5 billion, right? Going from in November, we were at about 2.1 billion to now going the top of February, you look like March, right? We were at a 4 billion, right? 4 billion in increase. So it's like, you got to understand, man, like the writing be on the wall. You just have to really pay attention to what's going on. So we saw the crypto jump, everybody talking about the crypto, and then we seen the NFTs jumping right now. Guess what comes next? Somebody drop a metaverse, right? Somebody drop a metaverse, right? It's the cryptos, it's the NFTs, and then it's the metaverse, right? So I want to go ahead and just let y'all know, man, want to be dollar cost averaging into Sandbox, and even the other one is Mana. Mana. I don't know why it's not on my thing anymore, because I loved Mana. But Mana's the other one, the other competitor it's the competitor for Sandbox. Mana is where Facebook is growing their metaverse, right? That's where they are. And when you look at Mana, you'll see Mana is already in that fair value gap, right? Mana's already traded back into this fair value gap and already sweeping below the sell side liquidity, right? That's actually what we got going on Mana right now. So probably this week I'm actually going to be already putting in some money to hold in dollar cost averaging into this the Mana positions, and then Sandbox will be close behind it. Like I said, I'll already start to get into both, but Mana more so than Sandbox. And then once Sandbox goes ahead and actually trades down below these lows, I'll actually start to put a little bit more into it. Let's see if another chart shows us sweeping it. Nope, they still haven't, kind of dropped underneath that. So yeah, guys, that's what I got for you guys on the crypto side or the metaverse side. I hope that gives you some insight and some value, and I hope you take my word when it comes to, and go do your own research, right? Go do your own research, but just understand what I'm putting down. Y'all understand what I'm putting down? Because I'm really putting it down right now. All right, I'm really putting it down. Trust me. Now, with that being said, Okay, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of my favorite pairs, and we'll start off with UJ, right? Like I said, as far as dollar goes, and do I want to start with UJ? UJ is acting the weirdest, actually. Let's start with Euro. All right, let's start with Euro. So now, coming down to Euro, if I'm looking to see the dollar go ahead and give us a little bit more of a drop, that means that I would love to see Euro go ahead and continue to trade higher as it has been. You know, it's been on a tear since beginning of March. We've just been seeing bullish, 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 bullish on Euro. Now, let me go ahead and look at a couple things, right? Let me go ahead and identify a couple levels when it comes to Euro. He said, I hear you. Thank you, my brother. All right, so I'm going to look at this year so far on Euro real quick, because we spent a lot of time on the dollar last week. All right, we spent a lot of time on the dollar. Let me go ahead and look at. All right, that's the beginning of the year right there. That's why I put that line there, just to keep me focused on what I need to focus on. And I'm just gonna use the monthly real quick, just to like make my life easier identifying the highs and lows of the past like 2 months or so. Right, so we had February right here. Right now we're actually trading right above the high of February, so I'm gonna go ahead and annotate that February high. Right, the highs and lows of each month, they are significant areas, right? They are significant areas. March highs and the open and close of each month as well. Man, Euro USD did me dirty last week. Well, I did Euro USD dirty because I didn't hold my setup. It's okay though. At least I know what I'm talking about. Right? But I'm not playing with them in May. Just know that. I gotta close my sidebar. Y'all gotta remind me when I got that sidebar open sitting there. Right? Now, yeah, so that's February's high. And also April's close. We're gonna identify April's close right here. Right, identify that. And that should be all I need based on where price is at right now. Okay. So I just do that because like back in the day when I would come to the charts, I would like go identify all the V's, all the tops and bottom of the V's. It was so much. I used to do so much. But now like the key levels I can use are really just the highs, lows, open closes of each month. Those are good reference points just to have on my charts when I'm doing what we doing right now. So we can see with Euro, our next level of liquidity on a weekly is these highs over here. All right, weekly buy side liquidity over there. Now I'm interested to kind of see going into this week whether we get just a bit of a pullback. As you can see on the weekly time frame for Euro, it's been a lot of bullishness, right? It's been a lot of bullishness. However, each week they have like the 17th of April this week was just a lot of consolidation. Last week was a lot of consolidation. We didn't really get too much of a move last week. Like literally you can see we opened this damn near open and closed in the same place, not like these candles where it was really big. Going to identify this as this right here. This was our high this was the high in January, right? High of January was right there. Of course, I don't know if I had that. Oh, dang, I have that as February's high. It was actually January, but it's cool. So yeah, that's that high I'm gonna pay attention to. We could see we traded back into that already here in April 10th. Let me use my arrow because I know y'all can't see my cursor for some reason, right? So yeah, boom. We had bullishness March 27th, and the date is at the bottom, right? So March 27th, the week of March 27th, bullishness. The week of April 3rd, bullishness. The week of April 10th, bullishness. But this week of April 10th, before we took off and gave massive bullishness, first they traded down into that last, into this order block or mitigation candle, whatever you want to call it, that last down candle, that first down candle before they went ahead and dropped before taking off. The reason that area is important to me is because the big institutions, they trade on the higher time frames. You feel me? That's how they trade. The big institutions trade on the higher time frames. And so if I see, boom, they traded down lower, and they got good buys in this position, and then they traded higher, right? So this right here is where they entered the sells in the first place to get down here, right? Because they the ones moving the market back and forth or manipulating the market back and forth. So that's a key area to me. That's why it's important, because that would be where their entries, for this drop were. And you, like I said, once we traded back above it, that next candle, you can see traded down into it, and then we had a big takeoff. So now when I go to the lower time frame, I'm going to be paying attention to that level as I try to identify where can I potentially get into opportunities for these buys higher, or where can I look for as a target if we're going to go ahead and retrace just a bit. You feel me? Now, yeah, like the way that euro is looking right now, a lot of consolidation. It's not sexy at all. It's not sexy at all. So this is going to be one of those ones, just like I said, for the dollar at the end of April. Looking at Euro USD right now, this is going to be one of those ones that I just react to just going into this week. I'm just going to react to what happens. If it presents me an opportunity, then I'll pay attention to it. But just from looking at this right now, Euro is not going to get the most of my attention. But the one thing that I will say is that on a daily time frame, I can see we traded back up into this order block from last March, April, right? Same area, bang, right here, right? You can see we traded back up into that. We got some rejections. And if they're going to want to go ahead and take this buy side liquidity right now, or soon, whatever the case is, they're going to need some liquidity to go ahead and break that, just to be honest with you, right? They're going to need some oomph to go ahead and break that. And from what my eyes can see right now, the nearest, liquidity to pay attention to would be these lows here. All right, so I'm just going to put that on my chart. And I'm going to pay attention to how they never came back down into this imbalance right here. You feel me? You see where the candle never opened up for real. From the beginning of last month, never came back down into that. So I'll see if the market sets up for us to trade back to that, or how it looks with us trading back into that. But yeah, this is not the prettiest one for me. So we're gonna leave Euro. We're gonna leave Euro to her devices. Now GJ, love me some GJ. Now, when it comes to GJ, I haven't traded her like that the past few weeks. I've been a little focused on these other ones, on these other pairs. But you can see that looking at the monthly time frame, just a similar thing that I just broke down for you guys. We could see right here in November, we had a drop off on GJ where they sold down here, and they got them some good positions down here. And we got a lot of buys up, and they closed above that area. If I drop my line right there, you can see that last week, because this is the monthly time frame, right? I could see that last week they went ahead and traded down into that, and then we rejected. We got heavy movement away from it. It's looking bullish. All right, it's looking bullish. My target is still this fair value gap up here on the monthly time frame on GJ. So if you're a GJ trader, bullish on that thing. That's what I am. Right, I'm bullish. Want to see them continue to trade up. So that's what I'll be paying attention to when it comes to GJ. Is some bullish opportunities. Some bullish opportunities. So I'm going to pay attention to this order block down here. I'm going to pay attention to how we respond or what times we come into this down here. So let me actually take I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. I'm gonna put it in my little journal right here so that we could pay attention to that this week. All right, I'm gonna pay attention to how they trade back down into that. Kind of like how they already this drop from last week. Like I said, they already kind of traded it back into these highs from April. We already saw them trade back into that, and then they gave us an engulfing candle out. So I just kind of want to see them trade back down into this order block, kind of use that as a support, and see them go ahead and trade higher into that fair value gap. If that's the case, I'll probably, like, honestly, if I get that move, or if they follow what I'm showing, I probably won't trade anything else for real. Just to be honest with you, because it's so clear where they kind of want to travel to. So I would just trade that opportunity multiple times on the buys to come up into that area. That's how I would treat this. So let me go ahead and set an alert. 169.5. Yep, just like that. We're gonna pay attention to that zone right there. So my zone I'm paying attention to on GJ is gonna be 169.45. That's what I'm gonna pay attention to on GJ. Yeah, I like that. She looks like she wants to do some jumping. She looks like she wants to do some jumping. So I'm gonna pay attention to that. All right. As we move forward, 169.45 bullish on GJ. All right, 169.45 bullish on GJ. Gold, man, she's a dangerous girl, man. She's a dangerous girl. Gold's damn near at all-time highs right now. Right, all-time highs on gold is 20. Oh, they're right here. All right, 20. 2072. All right, that's our highs on gold. And I mean, we came real close. We're not there yet, but we came real close, right? Right here. Last week, or was that last week? Yeah, last week, we came very close to taking those highs. We saw them slightly trade down into that in March, and then we got aggressive push up. And this is actually exactly what I'm looking for on GJ. This is what I'm gonna show you guys. This is exactly what I'm looking for on GJ. So on GJ, remember, we had that big down move, right? Right, which was here on the monthly, right? Big down move, right? And then we saw them barely come above it, and then they traded back down into it. And then on the lower time frame, we have a order block sitting under it, and I want to see them come back into that order block and trade away. Well, if we look at gold has this, right, big down move. On a weekly, you can see it's a big down move, right? They traded slightly above it, traded back to it, and then they gave us the order block right here. Bang. And they traded back down into the order block, and then we got a very big aggressive move away, and then they slightly closed it above it, right? That's exactly what we're looking for on GJ. Is that clear? I feel like that was super clear, right? Especially because we was able to use gold as another example, right? So that's exactly what I'm looking for on GJ. But now on gold, given what I just pointed out, I feel like that's kind of unfinished business. Like they did not come this far to leave those highs intact, right? They did not come this far to leave those highs intact. So I'm gonna be paying attention to that 2000 area on gold. Oh my goodness, they already came down, swept this fair value gap. So yeah, I'm gonna be paying attention to that area on gold, that 2000, 2005 area on gold. I'm gonna be paying attention to that. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, I'm gonna be paying attention to that right there. I'm on the 1 hour now. Yeah, I'm gonna be seeing how we treat this. What is this? 2004 to 2006 level. Yeah, I wanna see how they treat that. I wanna see us come back into a beautiful fair value gap, as you can see here. This was the bottom candle right here. This was that last down candle before they did their little jump up again on Friday. And that down candle right there, that's our order block, right? Talk about it all the time. Gray spot, right? Boom, that spot, right? And the very next candle did what? Traded down into it, and then we got an expansion, right? So when it comes to the retracement, I want to see them trade back down into this imbalance. That's what I want to see. See them trade back into this imbalance. And if that's the case, then yes, I'll go ahead and look for buy opportunities inside of that. So let me go ahead and set my alerts at 20. So my key levels is between that from 207 to 212, 2012, 2007 to 2012. I'm gonna put my 2013. Yeah, I'm gonna put my alert right there. Boom. And I'm gonna pay attention. All right, I'm gonna pay attention. Like even like the old version of me would be like, oh my gosh, like look, we had highs over here in April. Like wow, like so cool, right? These highs right there. If I drag it all the way across, that's right. You can see how many times they responded at that level. Right? You can see that. That was our high. That was a high level of a high. They rejected their dropped, rejected their dropped, rejected their dropped, came up to it, kind of rejected their drop, right? Rejected their dropped, right? Came above it, right? Dropped to it, rejected their dropped, rejected their took off, right? And then they manufactured a low right here, and then they did what? They swept that low, and they dropped right where? To the same zone, and they gave us an order block right in that zone, and then they came above it. I want that. That's what I want. And then I'm still looking for them to take the all-time highs. Yeah, that's a good one right there, guys. Golden GJ, I got my eyes on this week. Man, if this don't make sense, y'all better ask questions, man. Don't be sitting here listening to me and not getting what I'm saying, not asking no questions. Right? That is those are the two ones that got my eye right now. And then my last baby gonna be NASDAQ. I already told y'all what's going on with NASDAQ. We kind of touched on that a little bit. Other thing with GJ before we get to NASDAQ, right? Oh, I was going to give you all some sauce. Okay, cool. I'm going to give y'all the sauce still, right? But other thing about GJ, right, is that I want that bullishness on GJ. When you look at the weekly time frame on the Japanese yen index, right? When we look at this Japanese yen index, don't this look bearish? This looks really bearish, don't it? Right? Then they went ahead, took the highs, liquidated the highs, gave us a lower low, came up, liquidated the highs again, gave us a bullish order block, traded back up to it, rejected, gave us a lower low. Right? Yeah, these low JPY looking real slidish. Right? Looking real slidish. Let me see somebody typing. So I've been noticing golden indices have been going in opposite directions. What's up with that? I mean, they've only been going in opposite directions on maybe a small time frame, but when I look at the weekly time frame, shit, since January, Nasdaq's been bullish AF, and since January, gold's been bullish AF, right? So it just might be the timing, right? Like right when you looking to take a trade, right? There might be some off timing, but overall, they trading in the same direction. But I could definitely, and that's because the dollar's dropping. But I could tell you right now that when indices crash, gold's not gonna crash, right? Gold's not gonna crash the same way, I should say, at least. It's not gonna crash the same way that indices is gonna crash, of course, because it's a safe haven currency, right? But but yeah, that's what I would say to that, my bro. This JPY just, why I only have the 2020 on here since 2020. I only have, they don't got anything else for me. Nah, that's all they got for me. We're gonna have to find it. It's probably on the bar chart website. If I go look on barchart.com, I'll probably find it. Probably find it if I go on bar chart. But yeah, this is a key area for JPY, right? You know, the reason I say this is a key area is because we're stuck between two order blocks. You can almost always expect difficult times when you got an order block at a low like this, and you got an order block that they trading from right here. No kizzy, right? We saw them come, hit here, they hit this order block, and just so that they can go take the liquidity to the high side. Once they got that liquidity, we saw a sharp drop down. We saw them trade back, create an order block, engulfing candle. I want to see them obliterate this. That's what I want to see. I want to see them obliterate that. Like just literally just disrespect it. So that goes back in alignment with what I was saying on GJ, which would really give us a pop on GJ. So keep my eyes open for how that could happen. But going over to Nas, man. As we finish off, if there's no other questions outside of those, okay. Going over to Nasdaq. I'm gonna use this other Nasdaq chart. I'm gonna use this one so I don't gotta touch mine so much. All right, so on Nasdaq, looking at this monthly time frame, we've been OD bullish, and I don't feel like they've come this far for nothing. I feel like they still want these monthly highs from August. I feel like they still want that, man. I feel like they still want that. They traded back into it here, right? Into this, I guess you could say, it seemed like a fair value gap, and this imbalance. They traded back into that, and then they dropped. But yeah, we on a tier higher right now. But similar to, I don't remember which one it was we're talking about, but similar to that, we have this order block. This last order block here. And that's where we've traded into right now. And that's why we get this last week being a lot of consolidation, because they ran into that thing and then they just dropped, right? But they dropped into a what, right? What did they drop into? They dropped into back into this I guess you say mitigation, whatever you want to call it, this previous high from August, The open of August, yeah, that's the best way to put it, actually, right? They came right back into the open of August, which was here. Oh, shit. Right, they traded right back into that August open in April, traded away from it in May, traded away from it, and it's only the beginning of May. So now that they've done that, I want to see them take that April high, which is this buy side liquidity. Oh no, that's August high. I'm sorry. All right, August high. I want to see that get sniped. Okay. So I'm gonna be paying attention to, and I caught these. I caught those buys. That was nice. That was nice. But I want to pay attention to inside this order block here. There's going to be a fair value gap that's going to catch my attention. And that's what I want to pay attention to, because we already traded down to this order block right here, traded away from it. So inside of that daily candle, there's something that's going to catch my attention. And that's this imbalance right here. Let's see. Yup. Boom. There goes our fair value gap right here. I'm not playing with them this month. I'm trying to tell y'all right now. Bang. That's where I'm paying attention to on NASDAQ. All right. Paying attention to that. I want to see them come right back into that. So if I see a sell opportunity to that, I might take it. Or if I really want to just preserve my capital, I'll just wait for the buys. We'll see. We'll see how long it takes them to do it. But if the week just starts off on some bearish stuff, pre-CPI, we just start off bearish AF and come into that zone, then yeah, that's what I'm paying attention to. Buys from that zone right there. I mean, shoot, that's all she wrote. I don't even got too much to say on that. Not really looking to see her trade anywhere below over here, which is about, it's about 160 pips. Excuse me. Really not looking to see them trade anywhere below these lows over here, which is about 100 pips or so. So again, at this point, it's just what time are we going to trade into this level right here? And I'll put this joints into the forum. 1380. What time / day? That's the most important thing, right? Is what time / day are we trading back into that level? All right, our week opened right at the same place the month opened, guys. Like the month opened here last Sunday. We opened right here. Guess what? This Sunday we opened in the same exact place, right? So I would love to see them go ahead and set up for the sells and take this area. And once we get into that, go ahead and see a sharp move out of there and start to see us go ahead and trade higher, even, trade higher towards that buy side liquidity. So that's what I'm looking for on NASDAQ. Of course, US 30 is going to be a similar narrative. It's just going to be different, right? It's just going to be different, but it's going to be similar. Yeah, like US 30 is not as pretty as NASDAQ right now, honestly, right? But in March, we saw them trade back down to this order block from August, September area, right? Same thing, right? This was that high of August. That open of August. All right, that's our August open right there. We saw them trade back into that in February and March. And we saw aggressive trade away from it. And then guess what? Again, in May, we traded back down to what? August open. Sorry. Right? August open. Did the same thing. Traded right back down to the same thing at the, last week. We traded back to the same place. As well as you can see that this hold down move here, that hold down move right there is an order block. Maverick, why is it an order block? Well, order block is just a change in delivery. So the market was dropping here, it was down, and then we got a big move that absorbed that whole down move, right? That whole this was our last down move, and then we got a big up move that absorbed that whole thing. So I put my box around that, right? We can see that last week, where did they trade back into? They traded back down into that same zone, into that same area, and they wicked away. They traded away from it. Only interesting thing to pay attention to is that this last week itself closed engulfing. So US 30 is probably not going to get the most of my attention because they're doing a little bit of BS right now. So they're not going to get the most of my attention. But similar zone as NASDAQ, I would point out, would be, just because I saw what I saw on NASDAQ already, would be this fair value gap inside of it, right? From this imbalance, from when they took off. This is that last down candle, and then there's our gap, right? And if you want to use a cheat code, you can put my fib from the low to the high. From the low to the high. I'm sorry, from the low to high here, right? That was the drop down into this order block, and then they traded higher, and that's right there inside of our 60-70% pullback, our discount area. We could add that on there too. So if I'm gonna see US 30 pull back to somewhere, it's that area that I'll be looking to see that. And if I see that happening around the same time as NASDAQ, then it just makes sense. It just lines up, right? But yeah, that's the main ones that I'm paying attention to, would be GJ, gold, and NASDAQ this week. One of them got to run the play, right? One of them got to run the play. One of them, shoot. They ain't all got to run the play. Just one of them. So yeah, that's what I got for y'all, man. It is 11:18, and I am finito. But that's what we looking for this week. I'll upload this video to the YouTube. But good luck and happy trading, man. Like I said, think we may go ahead and do a giveaway, right? We may go ahead and do a giveaway on the we may go ahead and do a giveaway on the 10K accounts this month, so y'all look out for that. But just pay attention. I mean, they $65, man. Get you a 10K evaluation, trade that thing proper, and you should be Gucci. Like, you should be Gucci. I mean, what's 5% on a 10K account? 5%, 10% on 10. That's 500. Quick 500. For $65. That's smooth, right? But yeah, that's what I got for y'all. Y'all got any questions? Or anything y'all want me to look at, anything y'all want me to go over, or we get it, we got it. I think we hit on everything. All right, bet. That's what I like to hear, man. Facts. Time to back test 100%. I'll tell you the same thing I told QB Brian, man. Like, make sure you go back test the same things I was talking about as far as those order blocks and those fair value gaps, those same type of entries, man. Go back test them joints, 20 times for the week, 15, 20 times. Find you 15, 20 entries on the week and go ahead and practice and get yourself right. And that's how you can kind